Hey everyone, and welcome to another World of Warcraft Dragonflight Alpha video. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the new talent trees for Protection Warrior. As we get into these talent trees, we're just going to be taking a look through them and trying to look and see if we can come up with a build that's going to be good for open world content, leveling, questing, and that kind of stuff. So specifically for Protection Warrior, we are going to be kind of steering away from a lot of the talents that are going to be really good in dungeons and raids when you actually tank, in order to pick up stuff that's going to help us actually kill stuff faster, deal more damage, and maybe survive or have more utility in outdoor content. In future videos, we will definitely look at the talent tree from the perspective of tanking, like actually tanking with a group, but that's not what we're doing in today's video. Additionally, if you haven't checked out the first video in the series for the Fury Warrior, go ahead and do that. I did a pretty extensive look at the class talent tree in that video, which I will not be doing here. We'll mainly be focused on the protection side of the tree. That being said, the Fury video was recorded on a different alpha build than the one here. So if you do see some differences in the class talents on this tree as we go through, that's the reason why. Once I have a video out for every specialization, then I'll be doing videos catching up on like the latest updates to the talent trees and everything like that. So I'm just trying to get a baseline video out for every specialization where we look at everything in detail, and then we can probably catch up with all the changes and stuff and maybe do multiple classes in a video and that kind of stuff. So we're going to do all that eventually, but just so you know what's going on, that's kind of what we're tackling here in this video. That being said, I would appreciate it if you guys would leave likes on this video or comment and let me know if you enjoy the content, in order to help me determine whether or not I want to continue to make content here on the channel beyond the alpha, in particular whether or not I want to make content specifically catered towards new players, make guides and that kind of thing. So let me know via likes or comments what you think about that there. So we're gonna go ahead and jump into this. We do have to open up our bag, and we got to throw on our shield and our one-hander there. We're not going to worry about the rest of the gear, stat particulars and all that. We're mainly just kind of looking at rotations and talents and stuff. We're not too concerned with numbers and things like that. We'll get to that eventually. We will be taking every specialization out and testing the build out actually in the open world in future live streams. I'm trying to do that via live streams. And then that's where we'll kind of like make sure we have the right gear and everything else. So we are spec'd protection. We've got our talents here. It looks like we are given defensive stance by default. It also says it's TBD / work in progress. So probably not really gonna, work correctly here. And that's okay. There's several talents like this throughout the alpha right now. So let's take a look at our spellbook and just see what we have available to us already without investing any talents. We've got Battle Shout, we've got Charge, we've got our defensive stance, obviously, which is right up here. We've got Hamstring, we've got Heroic Throw, Pummel. All right, we've got our Shield Block, which we do use sometimes in open world content. Sometimes you pull a lot of stuff and you want to throw up a shield block to kind of mitigate some of the melee damage that you're taking. Shield Slam is going to be a core of what we do here. We do have Slam now, which I'm not sure whether or not that'll really come into play. We'll see. I think generally we're probably going to want to cast Revenge instead, but we'll see what sort of talents are available. We do have Taunt, we've got Victory Rush, super important for outdoor content. I'll just say questing content. We also have Whirlwind, which does come into play sometimes, depending on the talents we could pick up. Also, it depends on whether or not we can still kind of AoE with Revenge or not. So, oddly enough, in Protection, we have Execute. It's a weird place for Execute to be, but alright. And then we also have our passives in here. So we have Deep Wounds, our Devastate, and Revenge, which we don't have either one of those yet. We're going to pick them up in the talent tree, I imagine. Also cause the enemy to bleed over 15 seconds. We also have our Mastery, Critical Block, increased chance to block. And then also increases our attack power We have Riposte, so we gain parry equal to 100% of our crit from gear. And then we also have Vanguard, so damage taken is going to be reduced, and stamina is increased, armor is increased as well. So I'm really excited to get into this. I typically, try to main warrior, play warrior a lot. In particular, I like Protection Warrior. I've enjoyed playing Protection Warrior in questing content since it became like decently viable in Wrath of the Lich King. So I'm excited to see what they're doing in here. I'm a little bit apprehensive to see if we lose things, but I think honestly just being able to spread out over the talent tree, especially the class one, is going to give us access to a lot of things that maybe we wouldn't have or we don't have currently in the retail version of the game. So we'll get in and we'll check this out. Now, I don't know if I want to start on the protection side or the warrior side this time. But let's go ahead on the warrior side. Like I said, there have been some changes. I have a list of the changes up. It looks like they rearranged some talent nodes. They removed Die by the Sword, put it in arms, improved Heroic Throw, should override Heroic Throw. They reduced the ranks of two-handed and dual-wield weapon specializations, and they added a new talent, Concussive Blows, which I think we've seen before. But let's go ahead and we're going to dive into this and take a look. So remember, we're looking for stuff that's going to help us with questing, so I'm going to be looking for short cooldowns. As protection specifically, we're going to have a lot of defense already built in. Generally, it's going to be enough to handle questing content, and we're probably going to be forced to pick some up throughout our talent tree anyway, so that's just going to add on to what we already have. So we're really going to be looking for things that are going to help us boost our damage, since generally our damage will be a little bit lower because we're not a DPS specialization. We're going to be looking for movement speed, and that kind of stuff, and also any additional like utility that can help us like heal up or survive in between targets. So we do have access to Battle Stance. So Battle Stance will increase critical strike chance of our abilities and reduce the effectiveness of movement impairing effects. I believe we still have immunity to like daze and stuff like that as protection. I haven't seen anything about that going away, so that's less important, that part, but the critical strike chance by 3% is pretty solid. Now, our defensive stats that we get already is going to reduce the damage we take by 20%, and it's going to reduce the damage we deal by 10%. We definitely don't want to be in that in general when we're questing. Alternatively, we can take Berserker Stance. So this one will increase the damage of your auto attacks and reduce the effectiveness of Fear Sap and Incapacitate effects on you. So essentially, if we want, we don't have to be in a stance. We can turn a stance on and off, so we don't have to get one, but we're getting basically 3% critical strike chance here. And then we're also getting 5% increased auto attack damage here. So either one of these is like, okay. So it kind of just depends on like what else we want to pick up as we go throughout the tree. Now, since we already have defensive stance, this is going to be tied to a couple of nodes here. So we have Rallying Cry. And what we're going to do, like now that we've kind of looked at the stances, is we're going to go through and we're going to check out the active abilities we have first, which are going to be the ones in the blocks. We're also going to check out our choices after that, which are going to be the ones in the boxes that look like this with the arrows. And then we'll check out the passives as we kind of build through. We're going to do this for the protection side as well. Now, since we've already looked at the class side, we're not going to dive too deep into that on this side of the tree, but just in case, some stuff got changed up, we're going to take a look. I'm also going to assume you have a general working knowledge of Protection Warrior, and mainly just going to go over the things that I need a refresher on or the things that may be new. So I know I don't really care about Rallying Cry. We may pick it up. It's a super long cooldown that I feel is less useful in questing content than many other talents. So we may end up picking it up just because we need something else. But if we can avoid it, I'm down to avoid it. Same thing with Berserker Rage. This one's okay. It's a minute cooldown that gets rid of fear, which will happen to you sometimes when you're questing. But still, like a point to occasionally get rid of a fear. it's okay, right? It's okay. We don't mind taking it, but if we can avoid it, I'd rather avoid it. Spell Reflection, again, is one that is sometimes of good use in questing content, but not like a super like awesome pickup. We can reduce some magical damage that we take. We can also, again, reflect a spell cast back to us. Generally, if we're fighting casters, we're going to want to pummel them most of the time and just interrupt whatever they're casting. But on the off chance pummel is on cooldown, I mean, you could pick up Spell Reflection if you want. Again, none of these are like the end of the world, but they're not like, I'm not chomping at the bit trying to get these. We do have Impending Victory, which I think is like, it's not mandatory, but for me, it's mandatory. I love Impending Victory. This is a super important talent for me. It makes like your sustain in between enemies just super, super good. So this replaces Victory Rush. So Victory Rush by default is going to restore 20% of your maximum health. And it's usable 20 seconds after you kill an enemy that yields experience or honor. So you have to kill something, then you go in to do Victory Rush, and within 20 seconds, you've got to use it, and it'll heal you for 20%. Impending Victory takes that, and it changes it. It has a 25-second cooldown now, but it's going to heal you for 40% of your maximum health. In addition, you don't have to worry about that 20-second window after you kill something. When you use it, you can use it whenever. But when you kill something that gives you experience or honor, it resets the cooldown of Impending Victory and makes it cost no rage. So basically the way I use this is when I get an enemy down to around 30 or 20% or so, I hit Impending Victory. It gives me a 40% heal. I kill that enemy and I can use Impending Victory again on the next one. And this is really great if you pull a bunch of stuff. Basically every time Impending Victory pops up, you can just hit it and heal and kill the next thing, heal, kill the next. Like, it's really, really good. Highly, like, one of the most valuable talents, in my opinion, for questing, chain pulling enemies or just pulling, like, lots of enemies. And it looks like to get to that, we do have to go through the battle stance section here. So we're going to go ahead and do that. That also gives us 5% movement speed, which is another thing that I like to have when questing. So all three of those we're definitely going to take. So now we do have battle stance. So if we don't really have a strong reason to go over here on the right side, then we may avoid picking up Berserker stance and just kind of be in battle stance with the critical strike chance there. All right, so moving on, we do have Heroic Leap. So absolutely want to get Heroic Leap somehow. We can either get that from chaining down through Rallying Cry, or it looks like we can chain through Spell Reflection if we want to get Berserker's Rage instead of Rallying Cry. So I guess it comes down to what's connected to that. We do have Intimidating Shout here, which I'm not a huge fan of. I don't like making enemies flee when I'm questing because a lot of times they just chain pull into more stuff that you didn't really want to deal with. Although, as a protection warrior or any kind of tank, usually you are more than capable of pulling some extra stuff and dealing with it. Still, not the biggest fan of it. Then we also have Thunderclap. We need to pick up Thunderclap. Thunderclap is just a solid AoE ability that we can use. So we're going to want to come down and get Thunderclap. So right now, I'm thinking that we are going to go probably Berserker's Rage, Spell Reflection, Thunderclap, and grab Heroic Leap. But let's see what we have in these choice nodes here. So here we have Rallying Cry buff, don't care. And we also have Shattering Throw, which I also don't really care about. Great PvP talent, also useful in particular PvE fights, but just for general questing, I don't find a whole ton of use. I don't really get a lot of use out of this ability. Over here we have Berserker's Shout, which replaces Berserker's Rage, which turns it into a group ability, which we don't care about. And then we have Piercing Howl, which reduces the movement speed of enemies nearby. So also don't really care about that. So I think we're going to go Berserker's Rage, Spell Reflection, Heroic Leap, and we're going to grab Thunderclap. Now we have a choice node here. This gives us Intervene, which is good ability Not very useful in questing unless you're going to be questing with like a friend or something like that. But even then, like you probably don't really need this. And then we do have Second Wind. So this restores health every 1 second when you have not taken damage for 5 seconds. So this is actually okay. If we need to spend a talent point, we can. But with impending victory, we should generally be at full health the majority of the time. And we also should be pulling pretty quickly. So there's not a lot of scenarios where we're going to sit for 5 seconds without taking damage and then be able to get a lot of healing out of this. Again, it's not terrible. If we have to spend a point, we have to spend a point. But right now, we only have 1 point left to spend before we unlock the next row. And we've got this whole section over here we haven't even looked at yet. So let's take a look at this real quick. So we have increased leech. That's solid. We have auto attacks generate more rage, and killing an enemy instantly generates 10 rage and increases your movement speed. Also very good. Damage of Bloodthirst, Slam, Shield Slam, and Whirlwind increased by 10%. So we do use Shield Slam and we do use Whirlwind. We use Shield Slam a lot. So that's also really good. This is another like good side over here. And then we have this one here. The cooldown of Pummel, Shield Slam, Overpower, and Bloodthirst is reduced by 1.5 seconds. Also pretty solid. So we got like I would spend these 3 points pretty easily. I would spend this point fairly easily. We're already there, so it makes it a little easy to spend that one. But we got to kind of figure out like where are we going with this, you know, in this direction over here. Because we've got 1 point and then we're going to unlock the next gate. We got 19 points left. So let's see, where does this take us? It takes us to Rend, which I don't want. It gives us a choice between Stormbolt, which is fine, that's a stun, or Pain and Gain. When you take any damage, heal for a percentage of your maximum health every 10 seconds. Again, like if you manage impending victory well, you really don't need additional healing on a prop warrior, but we'll see. Strength equal to 10% of your armor value. All right, we should have pretty high armor as a protection warrior. Increase the maximum number of charges on charge by 1. We would like to have that, absolutely. So I think we're going down here somehow. Whether it's here or through here, we'll have to decide. This reduces the cooldown on Heroic Leap. I really like this. So I think we're definitely going to go here to here. The rest of this, I think we can maybe not worry about too much. I'm not super invested in that cluster. So I think I would rather just grab this other stance and kind of work my way down here so far. So we're going to put 1 point in here, and we may change that. But for now, we're going to go ahead and do our points here. Just to see, we've got 10 points left, okay? So right here, Intimidating Shout, we're not worried about that. Increased damage with one-handed weapons and leech. Not terrible. Your abilities that cost rage have a 20% chance to immediately refund 20% of the rage spent. I'm not sure if we're going to run into that as an issue. As protection, we generally will have enough rage for whatever we want to do. Or when we don't, we should have something to do in between, like Thunderclap. Or, you know, cast Impending Victory, which only has a 10 rage cost, or if we're using it with the buff here, has no rage cost. So we do typically have something to do, but still, either one of those is okay. Here we've got increase the damage of Thunderclap, and whenever you Thunderclap a target affected by Rend, which we don't have, it'll affect 5 nearby targets with Rend. So a little combo we could do there, but again, I don't love it. Rend costs 30 rage. It makes the target bleed over 15 seconds. We already have a bleed over 15 seconds with gushing wounds. And, you know, it's a little redundant to me. Alternatively, we can increase the radius and reduce movement speed by additional 10%. That's good. Sometimes you can accidentally hit stuff you don't want. So it's not necessary, but it's an easy point to pick up if we want it. That's definitely something I would take in like a dungeon. It makes it a lot easier to keep things grouped up. But for questing, I mean, everything's going to be targeting you anyway. Here we've got damage of shield slam and slam increased by 25%. Yes. And then this is a pummel. We're going to take 25% increased damage on shield slam for sure. Maximum rage increased by 30. Okay, potentially good. And then execute is now usable on targets below 35% health. So we do have execute. 20 to 40 rage. And we do use execute. I'm used to having condemn. I'm Venthyr on my warrior. But execute does play a pretty big role in helping us finish off a target. I don't think we necessarily need it to be usable on targets below 35% though. That does lead into this whole node over here though, so we may want to like this little cluster, we may want to look at this. Haste, damage while dual wielding, which we won't have. Thunderous Roar, which is replacing Dragon's Roar, which we do use on Protection Warrior. And then down here we have Thunderous Aftershocks and Dauntless Duelist. So I don't think we need this. This whole cluster here, I think we can avoid that. I think we're okay. So right now, I think I want to come down and get like this chunk here that we were talking about. For sure. Okay, so what do we have going on over here? Do we want a connection to this section? Increase stamina into shockwave into a shockwave bonus. Now, shockwave is good, just in general. You can use it in questing content. I like it with Rumbling Earth. When shockwave strikes at least 3 targets, the cooldown is reduced by 15 seconds. I think that makes it much more usable. It's like a 25-second cooldown. It's just sometimes hard to get the benefit out of Shockwave unless you're using it at the beginning of a big pull when you're questing. So honestly, even though I love Shockwave, especially love it for dungeons in particular, in open world content, I think if I could pass on it and actually just put the points somewhere else, I probably would. We have Bitter Immunity, restores health. We don't need this as a 3-minute cooldown. We do have Avatar, 1.5-minute cooldown. This is really nice to have. So out of the stuff we've seen here with cooldowns, like I like this one. It's just 20% increased damage for you for 20 seconds. And it generates rage, and it's a short 1.5-minute cooldown. So I do like that. And then we do have Spear of Bastion, which I think is probably where we want to go. I think we're already connected to the 2 nodes that I would want to, or the 2 clusters I would want to get into, which are these here. So we really can spend our 6 points like wherever we want. If Whirlwind or Revenge hits 3 or more enemies, it hits them 1 additional time for 50% damage. Again, that kind of comes down to the shockwave thing, like how many times can you hit 3 or more targets. But the difference is like Revenge doesn't have a cooldown, right? So you have more opportunities to hit with Revenge and get the bonus, whereas Shockwave, it's once every 40 seconds, you're trying to get the bonus. Or if you hit the bonus, the cooldown's shorter, but I think that's valuable. I think increasing our maximum rage is totally fine. We may actually come down here and, we might go cooldown of Shield Slam and Pummel, which is nice. We could pick up the 4-second stun, which I think is a solid replacement for Shockwave. So Shockwave's an AoE stun for 2 seconds on a 40-second cooldown. Stormbolt is a single target 4-second stun on a 30-second cooldown, which I think is just more valuable when you're questing. So we'll grab that, and we'll grab this one that gives us strength equal to 10% of our armor value. Now, outside of that, I think maybe we just pick up one of these. Like, let's get the chance to maybe immediately get some rage refunded when we're casting stuff like, like Execute or our Revenge, stuff like that. Okay, so now the question is, do we grab Spear of Bastion or do we grab Avatar? I'm partial to grabbing Spear of Bastion because it actually does damage. It also tethers units to the spear. It generates rage, etc. Let's increase our crit chance. Let's grab Spear of Bastion. We have 3 points left. So we can make it so that Spear of Bastion's duration is increased, and while we're in there, our critical strike damage is increased. Or we can make it so that Spear of Bastion's instant damage and rage generation are increased by 30%. Me, personally, the duration on this is already 4 seconds. I would rather just increase the damage and rage generation, I think. That's something I would try out in testing, but I think that's what I would do. And then I think we can either put points into stamina. We can make execute usable on targets below 35% health, but usually around 30% is when I want an impending victory, and then I follow that up with an execute to finish off the target. So we can increase our armor or increase our health. You know, this, I think it just comes down to testing what we want to do here. So let's go for increased armor, because our gain strength equal to 10% of your armor value, increase your armor by 60% of your strength. I don't know if those two will like loop together. Or if one will be calculated first and then the other, but I mean, it seems like a good little combo there. So that's what we're going to do for the class side of the tree. I don't like that I have to spend all available talent points to apply changes. That's a little irritating, but I guess that's new in this build. Okay, so let's get into the protection side of the tree, and I'm feeling pretty good about this side of the tree, right? We've got the option to go into battle stance or berserker stance. We got a lot of good abilities in here, a lot of good passives that I think are really going to help us pump out some pretty solid damage, especially against like 1 to 3 targets. Pretty nice. So coming over here, we've got to pick up. So we're going to go through this one and actually like look at the stuff and see what we have. So we've got Ignore Pain, which we have to pick up. We have Revenge, which we have to pick up. So this is going to deal damage to all targets in front of us. Our successful dodges and parries have a chance to make our next revenge cost no rage. We've got Demoralizing Shout on a 45-second cooldown. We've got Devastate, and then we also have Last Stand. We've got Challenging Shout. We got Improved Challenging Shout, Shield Wall, Shield Charge. That's something new, I think. 45-second cooldown, charge to an enemy with your shield, dealing a pretty good amount of physical damage to it and all enemies within 10 yards. Also stuns the primary target for 4 seconds and generates 20 rage. Wow, that's nice. And Shield Charge grants you shield block until canceled, Revenge, and generates an additional 300 rage. Those numbers are obviously like incorrect. But I'm guessing, yeah, we'll have to see. That sounds fun. That sounds really fun. I like that. I don't like that I have to go through Challenging Shout to get it, though, because we really don't need Challenging Shout for questing. But, I mean, that still seems real cool. What else do we have? We've got Spell Block. So you're able to block spells cast against you for 14 seconds. Wow, that's a pretty long time. 2-minute cooldown. Obviously not something we particularly want for questing, but still cool. And then we have Ravager. So, yeah, the shield charge sounds super cool. That sounds really cool for dungeons, actually. Just like charge in, and then boom, you do a bunch of damage. You hit everything. You stun the target. You go into like your thunderclaps and stuff. Like, man, that seems fun. Okay, that's for the tanking video. So Ravager is really good. It's good for open world content too. So I think, you know, based on the active abilities we have, we're going left or we're going right. Based on Challenging Shout and Improved Challenging Shout being over here, I feel like we're going to the right side. But we'll see. Let's look at our choice nodes. So we have Bloodborne. Bleed damage of deep wounds, rend, and thunderous roar increased. Blood Surge. Your periodic bleed effects have a chance to grant you 5 rage. Okay, so some passive rage generation there. I think I would probably take that over the 15% damage increase. But I'd have to test it out and see whether or not I needed the rage or whether I needed the extra damage. Here we have improved heroic throw, so it inflicts deep wounds. Not worried about that. Percentage of damage you deal adds to your active ignore pain. Not worried about that. Heavy repercussions. Shield Slam generates 3 more rage and extends the duration of shield block. So the rage generation is nice. Shield block, like I said, we'll use that sometimes, but not all the time. Into the fray, you gain haste for each enemy or ally within 10 yards, up to 10% haste. That's solid if we have to go down that path. We've got shield block lasts longer. Your attacks have a chance to make your next execute. Cost no rage, yada, yada, yada. Shield wall gains an additional charge and grants its effect to party members. Shield Slam generates an additional 5 rage and reduces the remaining cooldown of shield wall by 5 seconds. Okay. Shield Slam deals increased damage and reduces enemies' damage against you by 3%. That's what we want. Execute increases damage dealt by execute, stacking up to 20 times. So the execute phase kind of talent there. And then down here we have Indomitable. Your health is increased, and every 10 rage you spend, it heals you for 1% of your maximum health. And your block chance is increased by... Okay, so right now I'm looking at... I mean, we got to go through Last Stand to get there, but that is a solid, like, questing thing. It heals you for 30% of your health. And also increases your max health, which is still not as good as, like, Impending Victory, but it's a thing. So, yeah, let's see. So right now, I think I'm definitely leaning left or right. I'm leaning more to the right side. And we will see. All right, we absolutely need to go down to the middle here. Devastate, Thunderclap, Revenge, and Execute have a 30% chance to reset the remaining cooldown on Shield Slam. We absolutely want that. We do want Demoralizing Shout. Revenge deals 20% more damage or 50% more damage when your successful dodges or parries make it cost no rage. Absolutely. We can get Booming Voice. That's a solid pickup, but let's go ahead and get Last Stand since we know we're going to need to get there. And then we have Last Stand increases your rage generation, or using Shield Slam increases your block value and the damage of your Shield Slam. Yeah, we're going to go... Basically, we want to hit people hard as hell with Shield Slam. That's kind of the build we like to go with. I do like to take Devastator. So this replaces Devastate and makes it so your auto attacks deal additional damage and have a chance to reset the cooldown on Shield Slam. Like I said, we want to Shield Slam people a lot. We've got Parry. What do we have here? All right, we do have this one. Don't know if we need that, so we're going to stop there. Let's see. What do we have here? Every 10 rage reduces the remaining cooldown on Avatar and Shield Wall. Yeah. Increases block chance. Consuming 30 rage grants a stack of Seeing Red, which transforms at 1 stack into Outburst, causing your next Shield Slam or Thunderclap to be 200% more effective and grant Ignore Pain. That's kind of cool. When your health is brought below 35%, you take 75% less damage for 8 seconds. Okay. Yeah. All right, so I think we're basically done in the middle here. So the question becomes, do we go left or do we go right? So over here, Booming Voice, this is solid. It increases the damage we deal to targets affected by Demoralizing Shout by 20%. 45-second cooldown, we can use this fairly often to both get the damage reduction and also get the damage increase. And this will cause it to generate rage, which is really nice. It's a good, like, you charge Demoralizing Shout, you've got a fat stack of rage to work with. We do have Challenging Shout, which I don't want. I don't care about improved Challenging Shout. I don't even care what it is. Revenge damage increased, and it increases the damage of your next thunderclap. Okay. Increase the radius of demoralizing shout. Each enemy hit by thunderclap reduces the remaining cooldown on demoralizing shout. Solid. We've got our choice here. I would take the haste one, I believe. Increase stamina and armor by stamina, armor, and haste into the shield charge, little bonus. Very clean. I don't care about lasting rage generation. You're healed for 30% of the damage dealt by deep wounds. Okay. Then we have... Last Stance cooldowns reduced by 10 seconds, and it grants you shield block. Blocking an attack deals damage to the attacker. Okay. We've got our choice here. Shield Slam deals increased damage, which we do want. Increased strength, armor, and crit chance into Ravager's duration being increased. So I think we want to basically roll into that. I think with the choices we made here, we probably do want to go pick up bleed damage increased here, because then we'll get more healing out of it here. Over here, we'll pick up Challenging Shout. I think we'll pick up... I think we're going to go just for... these are really tempting. We're going to go here, 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 here. Okay, so basically what we've done over here is we've gone for pumping up Shield Slam. We've also picked up a little bit of passive additional bleed from deep wounds, mainly so we can get the additional healing from it here. Over here, we've augmented Demoralizing Shout to give us increased damage, and we've taken the talent that's going to make Thunderclap reduce the cooldown for each enemy hit. So that's going to be nice. We hit like 3 enemies, we get 4.5 seconds off. Pretty nice stuff there. So we got 2 points left to spend. So the question here is, where do we want to go with that? We can get Parry Chance. We can get Shield Wall. Execute. Shield Block lasts longer. Shield Slam generates 5 additional rage. Every 10 rage you spend reduces the remaining cooldown on Avatar, which we did not pick up. I think we either just pick up like Shield Wall and then get, you know, maybe like the Execute costs no rage and is usable on any target. I think that's probably, you know, we'll do that. All right, so we have 5 points left, and we do want to go ahead and we want to get Ravager. So Ravager's lasting 10 seconds. We could pick up a talent point to give it an extra 2 seconds. I don't know if we need to, though. We're 1 point away from being able to get shield charge. That makes me sad. So if we put 1 point in here, I mean, we would put 1 point in somewhere else. Man, I almost want to take these points out and go here. I think I'm going to try this, okay? Like, I am not confident about not taking Ravager here. I'm not. I really am not confident about that. But I think, like, you know, it's stats either way. Strength, armor, crit, or stamina, armor, haste. Right? Then we're taking an ability. This is a 45-second cooldown, deals a big chunk of damage, and is an AoE, and a stun, and generates rage. You know, this one is a 45-second cooldown, does a big chunk of damage over 10 seconds, hits a bunch of targets, generates some rage. So, I mean, effectively, this is definitely better for consistent AoE, and this is better for like single target. But I like this ability. Like I've got that extra point to put somewhere, and I think like you're able to block spells cast against you for 14 seconds every 2 minutes, or consuming 30 rage grants a stack of Seeing Red, which transforms at however many stacks. It says 1 stack, but I'm gonna guess it's not 1 stack, causing your next Shield Slam or Thunderclap to be 200% more effective and grant Ignore Pain. That's baked in, like Ignore Pain, right, is going to prevent damage, right? Which is awesome. That's baked in survivability with a super hard-hitting Shield Slam, which is kind of what we want to do here. And then this here, Shield Charge grants you Shield Block for until canceled, blah, blah, blah. All this stuff that this tooltip really doesn't make sense. But I think, like, I just want to try this out. And if this doesn't work, then what I would do is I'd come back in here, I'd grab Ravager. I'd probably grab the extra 2 seconds, because the 2 seconds really can make a difference. Because usually you're going to drop Ravager when you pulled a lot of stuff, or you pulled something tough that you want the extra DPS on, and then throw a point in somewhere, like, you know, get some extra stats, whatever, like wherever you want to put it, right? But to me, I just think like this feels clean to me if this ability is good. So let's drop that in. We're going to take a look at the target dummy. Now, we won't be able to do any like execute or anything like that. But we're going to have our Demoralizing Shout, which at this point becomes an offensive ability. Like we want to use it proactively every time to get the increased damage. We've got our Spear of Bastion. We have our Storm Bolt. We have our Spell Reflection. Got our Berserker Rage. Our Shield Charge, crazy ability. We've got Thunderclap, Heroic Leap. Devastator doesn't need to go on our bar, it's a passive. We've got Challenging Shout, which, I mean, I really don't care about in terms of leveling, but, you know, it's on our bar. We have Ignore Pain, we've got Revenge, we've got Last Stand, and we have Shield Wall. Now, did anything get left out? Because it couldn't fit on our bar. Doesn't look like it. So basically what we want to do here, let me set this up real quick. And yeah, I don't think we want to use Slam at all. Okay, so we want to Shield Slam, and then we want to mash all the things that can potentially reset Shield Slam. When we get Rage, we want to go ahead and cast Revenge. And then when the target gets low, we want to hit Impending Victory, and then we want to execute the target to destroy them. I'm a little upset that we don't have Condemn on this tree. I'm not going to lie. I love that ability. But that's just me. So what do we have going on, right? We've got Leech. We've got more Rage being generated here, plus Rage when we kill something and increase movement speed. We've got damage of Shield Slam. We've got if Revenge hits 3 enemies, it hits them an additional time. Max Rage. We've got 25% Shield Slam damage. Pretty solid there. We've got Shield Slam cooldown reduced, which is okay. Sometimes we won't always get the reset, right? So it's nice to have the little extra there. We got our Strength Armor, you know, weird infinite loop thing. It's probably not infinite. Extra charge on charge. Extra charge on charge. Crit chance. We got Spear of Bastion. Over here, we've got our Devastator going, which has a chance to reset Shield Slam. Devastate, or Devastator, Thunderclap, Revenge, and Execute all have a chance to reset the remaining cooldown on Shield Slam. We've got increased damage from Deep Wounds. We've got our increased damage on Shield Slam. When we Shield Slam, we gain a stacking boost to the damage of our Shield Slam. Healing from Deep Wounds. We've got blocking deals damage to the attacker. We've got Shield Slam deals 20% increased damage and reduces enemies' damage against us. Over here, we've got our Demoralizing Shout. We got our Revenge dealing more damage. We've got our Thunderclap reducing the cooldown on Demoralizing Shout. We got Revenge, increased damage, and increases the next Thunderclap. So whenever possible, we want to Revenge Thunderclap. We've got Improved Haste, increased Stamina, Armor, and Haste. Shield Charge, and then we have this crazy Outburst thing, which we'll see what that's all about. So let's go do a little bit of testing here. And we're going to start by doing Shield Charge. Alright, so Shield Slam, we got Rage for Revenge. Let's see, our next Thunderclap deals increased damage, and that does not stack, so we probably want to just Revenge, Thunderclap if it's off cooldown, Revenge, Thunderclap. But we want to Shield Slam basically every time Shield Slam is off cooldown. Alright, Shield Slam is the moneymaker. So Revenge, Shield Slam, Revenge, Thunderclap, Revenge, Shield Slam, Revenge, Thunderclap, Shield Slam, Revenge, Shield Slam, Revenge, Shield Slam, Thunderclap. Like, you get the idea, like, we're basically cycling through these abilities infinitely. And we're not even getting any rage from, like, being hit or attacked or using any special abilities or anything like that. The Spirit Bastion doesn't work here. Awesome. That's a fun little alpha bug. So yeah, we basically just keep this rotation up. Like Revenge, Thunderclap, Shield Slam, Revenge, Shield Slam, Thunderclap, Revenge, Shield Slam, Revenge, Thunderclap, Shield Slam, Revenge, Shield Slam, Thunderclap, Revenge. I feel like we're putting out some solid damage there. What happened to me? Nothing. We're not taking any damage, so nothing happened to us. That's pretty much it. So, like, the missing components to this is when the target does get low. Like I said, around like 30% or so, I usually smack them with an impending victory. And then by that time, they're ready to execute. So, you know, I hit them with the execute and they die. And then that resets the cooldown on impending victory. We go to the next enemy and we do it all over again. Now, the question here is, which one of these do we want to have? 5% increased damage on our auto attacks or 3% critical strike on our abilities? I think we want 3% critical strike on our abilities, right? Wow, these Lua eras are awesome. All right, so let's get our error. Still, that is a cool ability. I really do. I'm just glad they added this stuff in. I'm a little bit sad that we don't have Condemn, because I really do just love that ability. Did I see like a 6K? Yeah, like a 6K shield slam. Dang. Now, the one thing we haven't done here is we haven't done our demoralizing shout to give us that damage amp. Let's see what we can do as far as like a shield slam crit with demoralizing shout up. If we can get a crit while it's up. All right, so we're going to go back in. All right, demoralizing shout. Ooh, no crit. 5,000, that's it. Why do I feel like it was lower? Nope. Now we're just not getting crits. I had a feeling this was gonna happen. And now we're not getting crits. 6,200. Ah, that did not seem right. 6,000 again. Weird. All right, let's boost ourselves again. Come on, give me a crit. Give me a crit. Give me a crit. Give me a proc. 4,000. What? 4,000? Well, maybe there's some buff that we were getting. Oh, you know what? I wonder if it was that crazy Seeing Red one. Okay, so we need 8 stacks of Seeing Red. Let's see if maybe that gets us up there. So we're at 5 right now. Oh, where'd it go? Huh, it fell off. All right, it's at 3 stacks, 4 stacks, 5 stacks, 6 stacks. Oh, okay, so we have to actually like keep the stacks because they fell off there. 7 stacks. Did we get it? I feel like we got it. And then we're not getting crits. Come on. 7,200. Okay, okay. So that was with the what's it called? Outburst. So an extra 1,000? Does that seem right? That does not seem right. That the math doesn't add up on that. Right? Because Demoralizing Shout should be giving us a 20% damage increase. Which, let's see. Sorry, I'm wanting to math this out roughly. So if we're heading for like 6,100 on a crit, we should be doing about 7,300 just on a crit with Demoralizing Shout. Unless we had Demoralizing Shout already, which we might have. But then with this, it says it causes your next shield slam to be 200% more effective. Oh, you know, we may have wasted it on a Thunderclap. We may have wasted it on a Thunderclap. Oh, we got to be careful with that, huh? That's a little more like intricate than I wanted it to be, honestly. Like the fact that you have to maintain the stacks. There's 30 seconds between stacks. It seems a little too micromanagey for something that I'd want to do in open world content. All right, so we hit it. There it is. Outburst. 9,000 on a non-crit shield slam. But then we're right back to it. Like we get it one time. If it doesn't crit, it doesn't crit. I don't love that. I mean, it feels good. Like a 9,000 non-crit seems solid. But I don't know if I like that mechanic overall. For questing. Like specifically for questing, right? This seems like a lot to... I mean, because if you get this in between enemies and you don't really notice... Like, this is the kind of thing you need a weak Aura's for. Oh, what did we just get? What did we just do? I know, yeah, it hit for 9k again, non-crit. All right, well, like I said, looking at this build right now, I really don't know about shield charge until I actually use it on something and see how hard it hits them. So we're going to have to check that out in the open world. Outburst, I don't know if I love this. I think it's really cool. I just don't know if the implementation really works that well in questing. I don't like this kind of micromanagey thing where you have a small window and if you screw it up, you're just kind of... Because open world content, like, is random. Like, what if, you know, you might pull the wrong enemy, or the enemy might not be there, or you're headed over there and you jump and you can't jump over the thing you thought you could jump over. So now you got to go around. Like, there's just a lot of factors in there that can kind of screw it up. But that being said, I think this is still the build that I would test. I'd take it out and go test it and see, you know, how I like shield charge, and also see, you know, whether or not like outbursts is something that's too much to micromanage. This is something that would like a weak auras, like it'd be easier to pay attention to. But even with that, I just don't know if I want to deal with it, right? I take 1 point out of that, I put it somewhere else. I don't know where. Probably into a talent that doesn't exist yet, because they're going to tweak and change this, but, you know, we'll see. Anyway, I think that's what I've got for you guys for this video. This is the build. I think we'll go test it out in some open world content, do a couple of quests or whatever. So let me know what you think of the video. Let me know what you think of the talents. Like I said, this is for questing, not for dungeons or raiding. So keep that in mind. And if you enjoyed the video, throw a thumbs up, leave a comment, and let me know whether or not you're enjoying the content and whether or not you want to see more content like this beyond the alpha. I'll definitely use your feedback to help me make that decision. So thanks for watching the video. I really appreciate it, and I will see you on the next one.